Hello, everyone, and welcome to one of our videos on our series of drought management that the University of Idaho Extension is offering you. It's a tough time of year with everybody being short of rain and short of irrigation water. So we hope this series of videos help you out. My name is Shannon Williams, and I am an Extension Educator here in Lemhi County, Salmon, Idaho. And I would like to discuss with you and share with you some tips and some thoughts as you are you're considering fitting straw this year. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So let's talk a little bit about feeding straw. So what I hope to cover and plan on covering in this presentation is we'll talk a little bit about why to consider straw, the nutrients provided by straw, and then the practicality of feeding straw. So why you may want to consider straw right now, it's a good time to stretch the hay supply. Rain's been in short supply, as for those of you in North Idaho that don't have irrigation. Rains haven't come quite when you wanted them. And for us that do have irrigation, the ponds have been short, the water's been low in the rivers, and so our irrigation water has been in short supply. Feeding straw may be cost efficient. You're going to want to take and run some numbers, price where you can get straw, the cost per ton, and then calculate in the trucking to have it delivered to your place. And one really good reason to feed some straw is to balance out those nutrients. If you have some super top quality hay, our range beef cows don't need as many nutrients or as high a quality hay as a dairy cow does. And so you may be able to stretch that super good hay out a little bit farther with feeding straw and still meet your cow's nutrient requirements. So this is just taking a look at some of the contents of different straw. Different straws are available in different parts of the state of Idaho. When you're looking at that barley, you're looking at a TDN of 43%. If you have access to flax, you're looking at 27. Millet's a little bit higher with 51. Oats run about 47. Rye's 41. And I've compared it to what we have a lot in our county, which is orchard grass hay. And I put it at the later bloom because people have been letting their hays go a little bit longer to get some more tonnage. The TDN of orchard grass hay late blooms running 54. But most importantly, you need to compare it to the nutrients that your cows need. And so just for reference, I included the dry pregnant mature cow, middle third, 1,200 pounds, and she's needing about 48.8% TDN. If you're looking at those yearling heifers, those growing 2-year-olds, of course, that requirement's much higher. If you're looking at your mature bulls, it's lower. And so you really need to check what you're feeding against, who's going to eat it, who needs those nutrients, what are those requirements, so that you can make the best use of your stack. And really encourage you, so that you have accurate information to make those decisions, to send off a feed sample. That $25 is a cheap insurance policy and a good investment to know exactly what's in that hay so that you can take and meet your cow's nutrients. So because of the drought, because of a change in feed, she's not a month later or 6 weeks later or even 3 weeks later breeding back in the springtime after we calve. I mean, she's bred up good for this year because we had good feed to go into it. But you want her in good body condition score so that that calf has plenty of milk when it hits the ground and she can take and breed back. So when you're looking at that 2023 calf, you haven't lost any ground with your calving time. So some considerations: if you can get a hold of some old straw, a year old, that is just awesome because it's slightly more digestible. It's already started to break down a little bit in the stack because, of course, feeding straw, we're looking at that fiber content and that fill and how digestible it is. If you are getting true straw and not a barley hay or an oat hay, and that was harvested when that seed was ripe, nitrate accumulation is usually not a problem. Doesn't hurt to have it tested, but if it was truly harvested for grain, most of the time you don't have to worry about nitrates. If you have a selection between straws, oat straw is more palatable than barley, which is more palatable than wheat. And so it's like giving your kids a choice of which kind of cookies they want. They all have their favorite. Cows seem to prefer that oat straw, and it breaks down a little. It breaks down well in the rumen. So who do you want to feed straw to, and who do you not want to feed straw to? For those of you that are beef producers watching this video, the best time to try to use some straw and stretch that good hay out with straw is during that second trimester of gestation. The nutrient requirements for that cow have kind of leveled off for a little while. That fetus is it's not growing quite at the same rate. When you start getting into that third trimester, that calf is growing, that cow's getting ready to produce milk. And so her requirements jump quite a bit. So therefore you want to feed it sparingly during the last trimester, because remember, you're not only growing that calf that's in her right now, you're also preparing her and that uterus to get ready for conception of that next calf. When they're doing lactation, don't feed over about 25% of that straw. There's just not enough energy and protein for that cow to keep that body condition score, to keep that milk where it needs to be for that calf, just because of protein. As you grow those pregnant 2-year-olds, they're still growing. They are the teenagers of the crew. And so you do not want to have straw over 25% of the ration. Excuse me. If we have some people with sheep watching this, as I've read up on it, bred ewe lambs do not respond well to straw. And so you'll want to take and use the straw to stretch the nutrient requirements and stack with your older ewes and your lambs, but not your ewe lambs that are bred. When we come to feeding straw, producers in my county, when it's 10 degrees and there's a wind chill factor or below 0, getting cows to eat straw is not really too big of a deal. They'll dive right into it. But when we're trying to feed it in the fall, when it's a little bit warmer, trying to get them to eat it is a little bit more of a challenge. And so the thing to think about is when you're mixing it or feeding it with a high quality forage, that high quality forage, the higher the quality, the faster it digests. And so the lower the quality, the slower it digests. And so straw provides a lot of fill. It's more fibrous. It's going to take longer for that animal to digest it. So one thing you can do, because if you just go put out hay and straw, your cows are going to take and eat all that hay, and the straw is going to lay there and wasted. So some of the ideas that they've had is feed that high quality feed on one day, and then go feed straw on the alternate day or the third day, depending on how you run your ration, and look at your bales and requirements of your cows. And if you're wondering about rations and things like that, feel free to get a hold of someone in your county extension office or one of the beef specialists and have them help you with that ration. We are all prepared with some programs that can help you make those determinations. If you have access to a grinder and you can grind and mix that straw with your high quality feed, that is an excellent thing, and that's ideal, but that's not everybody's setup. When you do grind that feed, it does increase consumption of the straw, but not necessarily the efficiency of the digestion. It's still going to take longer for that straw to digest, but they will eat a little bit better. Some cows do have the ability to sort it out, so there might be a little bit of waste of the straw still. When you're feeding it in separate feeders, and try that, it doesn't work well. Again, the cows will go eat all your good stuff and kind of look at your straw bale in the feeder and stick their tongue out at it and walk away. And if you don't have enough feed space for everybody, those dominant cows are going to get that good feed, And then those quieter subdominant cows are going to end up on that lower quality feed. And so then you're going to end up with some serious body condition scoring challenges. You're going to have your fat cows and your thin cows. And then you're going to have to even get more feed to get those dominant cows fed back up so that they breed back up at that stage. If straw is your only roughage, you can feed it with grain, but that's easier said than done. Having enough bunk space for all those cows to eat at the same time is critical, again, so you don't end up with the dominant cows eating all the grain and having a different set of problems to deal with, and your less dominant cows eating just the straw and losing body condition scoring. It is recommended that your grain should be coarsely processed, and that will take and help with the digestion of that. As I said earlier, depending on where you're living in the state of Idaho, you may have access to some different things. And there's also some different feeds that can be baled and fed as straws. If you have access to some baled corn stalks, you can place those in a feeder. If you do feed the baled corn stalks free choice, you're going to have lots and lots of waste, not the first thing those cows want to eat. It can have high levels of nitrates in baled corn stalks, so have that feed analyzed, and I would really encourage you to have it analyzed before you decide to purchase it. Nothing worse than having a whole stack of feed on your place that's high nitrates that you have no place to go. If you have access to bean or pea straw, it may take cattle a little while to get used to eating that type of feed, but the articles I reviewed says as cattle get used to or accustomed to the bean and pea straw, they will eat it. Growing up, I grew up over in the Magic Valley, and my granddad and my dad both put in peas and oats together, and we fed that to our cattle, and then you can get that bean straw over there too and feed as well. The nutrient value is very, very different, especially when it comes to the peas. The amount of leaf material and pods and stage of maturity has a high influence on that nutrient value. And the other thing to watch for is that type of hay can be dusty, coarse and even stemmy, because think about that they're putting, where we lay out our oat hays and our alfalfa hays and our grass hays, it's on another forage bed. It's not on straight dirt. And your bean and pea straw is laying right in a bare field. And so it's going to have more dirt in it. So it can be dusty. Have it tested for the nutrient value. The articles that I read and reviewed said same field, different years can vary a great deal, from like 4% TDN to 12% TDN. And that's a huge wide swing. So have it tested so that you know what you're feeding, so you can make your ration appropriate to meet your cow's needs. So as we wrap up, this has been short and sweet, but hopefully informative for you. Straw can be an alternative feed. It can be valuable in stretching out that good hay. It cannot be 100% of the diet. For your pregnant cows that you're trying to keep calving on the same cycle, you need to supplement them with a more nutritional feed along with the straw. Best is to feed it to your mature, non-lactating second trimester cows first, and then make a better plan for those thinner cows or for those first calf heifers coming up. Grind it and mix with high quality feeds, or feed it on alternate days to help your cows eat that straw when it may not be their first choice of feed that they would like. So here are some references that you can take a look at. These are ones that I utilized for this presentation. Quite a bit out of Canada about feeding straw. University of California had a good article, Ontario, Canada, and then North Dakota State University had an article on feeding straw. So as I said, my name is Shannon Williams. I'm in Lemhi County Extension Office in Salmon. Here's my contact information. If you have more questions or something, feel free to get a hold of me, either at my email, shannonw@idaho.edu, or my direct line, 208 877-442-1696. So thank you. And follow us on social media and stay connected. We'll have more webinars coming up. Have a nice day.